an edge here in the draft phase.
It poses an interesting question. If both teams are having questionable drafts, who can do the least damage in picks and bans?
I mean, it generally means that they're not going to be punished as hard, and both teams will end up getting compositions that they are comfortable with that hopefully won't be countered for both of these guys.
But we're seeing again, Lee Sin and Rek'Sai. Again, TBQ's champion pool has been hit. That's the third time we've seen both of those champions removed. So the entire group recognizing TBQ just not as comfortable in the champions. He's tried Elise, he's tried Vi.
And yeah, the issue is that apart from that, there's not really much else. He has played a bit of Vi. It was a popular champion for him. At least he can sort of play. Even Rengar's sort of in the big backlog of champions. But again, on this metagame, on this patch, these are not champions that you can, I think, pick easily and expect to win with a lot of the time.
Yeah, I actually really like the Team SoloMid bans. They are targeted specifically at the strength or weakness of LGD. Strength in the fact that they're banning the Kog'Maw away from Imp, and weakness in the fact that they're banning away TBQ's two best champions.
So Mordekaiser or Lulu, what will the final ban be from LGD? That is the question.
I would think it would be Mordekaiser. There was a game where he completely slipped through the ban phase. That was yesterday with LGD versus KT. So now at least they have both. And this is actually where it gets a little bit dangerous. If you're going to pick one of the two, I think you pick Lulu.
I think so too.
However, because as a Juggernaut, it's much like when you pick Darius into Lulu, you can still kite him around. He doesn't have an ability to close distance.
Oh!
TSM disagreed,
They did the same thing yesterday, Quick Shot. They picked the Darius with the Lulu up, and they ended up getting kited. However, this is at least kind of exciting.
Yeah, Mordekaiser back on the roof for one more game here. Like you mentioned, it's only one game that he's slipped through completely. Does have one win and a whole host of bans apart from that. I have to say, Jungle Champion's still not sure what they're going to play. TBQ can also go to Gragas. That's one other champion he's played to reasonable success. But whatever it is, I have to think LGD are going to pick a jungler right now.
This is throwing a big wrench in the draft phase. I have to imagine TSM was expecting a Mordekaiser ban. However, the one team who didn't ban Mordekaiser, of course, was LGD. So that leaves a lot of stuff free. This would be the logical choices for LGD. 80 carries in particular, I actually think are even stronger against Juggernauts in particular because they are the ones that will be kiting them. And because of the Lulu, the Kalista generally can't be bursted as hard by Mord in teamfights. And I think that's some really strong counter picks up against the early Mordekaiser.
Yeah, and just regionally, Imp's Kalista is probably the best in the LPL. Certainly one of the best here at Worlds. He got that champion banned against him so many times in the LPL, even though Kalista's sort of fallen out of favor. So a smart pick here from LGD.
So Gragas locked in, another jungle champion denied from TBQ. It's going to leave LGD a couple of different options, but all of them going down that tier list. Chat, we talked extensively about jungle champions and what we're expecting to see. You think it's going to be the Vi again, or is the Nunu Hover likely?
It depends how much faith they want to put in TBQ. If they want to put him on an easier champion that can execute around LGD's strengths, we haven't seen Nunu yet at Worlds, or even for a very long time in competitive, but it would fit this specific use case. One Snowball and Mordekaiser, he's not hitting anyone with that third Q.
I think the other thing as well is that if they go with this, it's very Imp-centric, this team. Can't we talk?
They actually did it!
All
They
right!
actually did Brand. This has been a champion that has been hovered frequently. A lot of people have been playing it in solo queue, and it's probably mid as well.
Yeah?
When was the last time we saw Brand mid? Was it Season 1 World Championship? It's going way back.
Back to Brand and Malzahar days.
Oh
when
my.
They were
It could also be Brand support. Brand support is actually the stronger version of Brand in most scenarios.
In this team composition, you'd maybe assume that with an Acorn counter pick, depending on what Dyrus wants to run.
Brand.
I mean, you don't even know at this stage, but the Nunu was also locked in. Just as a side note, in both of TSM's previous games, Twisted Fate was in fact banned against Bjergsen, and you can see the hover, so he's toying with that idea.
Certainly is.
Sorry, I didn't hear a word you said.
There's still Brand happening.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out if Brand was going mid or support.
There's like,
I mean, the support actually makes more sense, I think, because Brand won't be punished as much for positioning since Kalista can use the Fate's Call. TSM is going all in on these Juggernauts, so they will be so heavily kited unless they get really clean initiation.
and what do we talk about? Bjergsen, the shining light really for TSM. He has to do so much work in these games to get the side lanes ahead here. He's got Twisted Fate. He's expected to make an impact on the champion, and he's certainly going to have to.
Yeah, the Twisted Fate has been banned heavily against Bjergsen as well, so really
There's ever a time
Brand.
There was ever a time for Vixen to step up on a champion.
Yeah.
Twisted Fate is now, but yeah, Brand's going to be fun, and it looks like it might actually be support.
And I want so much to see Godby play Teleport Diana. He was the one who really popularized this pick, and everyone wanted to play Teleport Diana like Godby. There it is.
There you go, you're going to get your wish. Diana has been locked in. That does mean it's brand support for PYL. PYL does like to mess around sometimes, but this is a big step.
Yeah, aside from the brand, this is a very common LGD composition, right? When they pick the Lulu, you don't actually expect Godby to play it. You would have expected it to play in the top lane for Acorn, which was why it was so weird when they played Lulu mid on the first day of group stages that they played. Of course, the support brand is just a whole bunch of AoE damage in this. The amount of damage the brand puts out on support is basically mid lane tier, even with support items. That's why he's so effective.
And I guess it helps when you've got a melee AD carry role to throw those seers out at. As a note, this is game 19 of the group stages, and with Diana and Twisted Fate locked in, 19 unique mid-lane champions. Somewhere, champion diversity celebrates, because we are continuing to see these exquisite champs. Now, lane swaps, is this going to be a thing? I cannot imagine Mord and Thresh really want to lane into Kalista Brand.
I think it's a pretty big factor in here. One of the major reasons Mordekaiser is strong is because of the mismatch you get on the opposing lane, and when you're level 6, you can force a turret dive, which then snowballs into a dragon. So if LGD can somehow deny the lane swap and actually negate that inherent experience advantage that Mordekaiser grants, that's one way to try and work around it.
We'll have to see what they decide to do. Those team compositions will be flashing on your screen in just a moment. Guys, at home, jump onto Twitter. Let us know who's going to pick up their first victory here. Both TSM and LGD 0-2 in the World Championships. Hashtag TSM win or hashtag LGD win. Who will be getting that W? Will it be support brand? Or will it be ADC Mord?
So I actually just received words from our stats guy that Brand mid was played by Dade in the LPL in a game that had no consequences. So technically, it has been played recently, but not in any stage with how much is online. These are both 0-2 teams. The win is an absolute must.
And we are loading onto the ref for game 1 in day 4. Let's take a look how this cookie crumbles. Both solo laners for TSM and LGD are running Flash Teleport. So continuing to see that TP mid meta, if we can go that far, really establishing.
Yeah, this Worlds has been so much about global pressure and specifically just capitalizing on any misposition or misplay by any individual. When you have double teleport, it means you can just really find the position on the map where the mistake is being made and punish it even harder.
I feel like the other thing there as well is that we talked a lot about these teams having strong individual players, but maybe not the best cohesion in the first few games we've seen. So double teleport is very team-oriented. So I want to see if these teams can really line it up and make the clutch plays with the summoner spell.
I did see a slightly deep ward coming from PYL towards the red buff. It will have spotted Wild Turtle just a moment ago, but no lane swap deep vision that we've become relatively accustomed to. Safe enough starts, and it looks like it's going to be standard lanes, at least according to the current duo setup.
Yep, I'm really interested to watch this Brand versus Mordekaiser lane and how heavily the Brand can punish the Mord from farming. Because in standard 2v2s that teams have been scrimming with against Mordekaiser, he seems to crush. They do the one camp early, they hit level 2 first, and then they never relent their advantage. That means they're level 6 by the time the enemy bot lane is level 4. That means they rotate the jungler and mid laner down, and because of the level discrepancy, you either have to lane swap or just completely sit everyone under that turret. The dive executes, the AD carry goes down, then they take Dragon, then it all just goes in.
You make it sound so easy.
Well, the thing is, this is, when I talk to all the teams, this is how they explain Mordekaiser to me. That's how they say, this is why he's banned all the time, because this is specifically what you do. And if you execute it and don't make mistakes, you can't do anything against it. But LGD clearly has other plans. Again, they don't ban Mordekaiser, and they are ready with this Brand pick, so I cannot wait to see it.
Let's see whether or not it is an effective counter. At level 1, PYL did take Conflagration, and at level 2 has put a point into Seer, so that stun opportunity will be up. And in contrast to H2K, when they ran Mordekaiser in their AD carry position, they did not run double Relic Shield. So this time we are seeing it.
Yeah, and just as a note with Brand, it's been so long since we've really seen him play that At level 2, he has a 2-second stun if he lands that skill shot. That is a long, long time for you to get CC'd so early on. So I like that we're seeing standard lanes. Imp and PYL, they've done it before. It's not very often, but they're just going to play straight up 2v2 and try and honestly just outclass TSM's bottom.
A lot of respect from both Wild Turtle and Last Boy, but you can see Wild Turtle takes a chunk there from PYL. He's going to try and farm up. Death Sentence does connect, and Last Boy goes in. That's an early flash away from PYL. Sia's going to connect. There's that 2-second stun. Imp is going to throw out
really early teleports.
That's double teleport.
Yeah, they're going to go in now. Now PYL's getting a move back. Dyrus moving in. First blood to TSM. Morg gets it. Now Godby exhausted, going to be chased down. LGD, though, they've already lost one. Last one. He's going to go in. 2 kills for TSM, but Imp gets the trade kill.
How much should he get back?
Wild Turtle now, maybe the next one.
Not over yet. We do see him trying to chase. Wild Turtle going to get some heal from that Harvester of Sorrows. 2-1 in the first fight.
As far as needing an advantage on your Mordekaiser to consistently shove the lane and get work done, that's about the best possible thing that could have happened for TSM. Lustboy lands a hook, PYL flashes. I think, honestly, he didn't need to use that flash early because Mordekaiser had not yet skilled Q and he just used his cooldowns on the minion wave. So PYL actually wasn't under threat, but because the flash was used, it prompted the teleport because then they knew he had no escape and they knew they could punish the play. So a misplay by PYL is punished properly by TSM.
And a second time we're seeing those duo lanes being punished. Yesterday, Imp and PYL got ran around in circles.
No.
Santorin's caught!
Could be trouble there. Stun's landing. TVQ's going to keep slapping away. Santorin, he'll flash body slam away, but they will chase. LGD going to get a kill back.
That's the 2-second stun that Brand brings so early on into the game. They invaded the jungle after the long and drawn-out fight, and it was just not respected by Santorin because the bottom lane was shoved as well. That's one of those team calls. You have to be heady enough to realize that the bottom lane is there. PYL will have been able to respawn. It's just a really smart play by TBQ and PYL to get into that spot and then specifically wait until Santorin went to face check.
So we'll see what TBQ can do with the additional gold. Got the makings of an early sight stone. I'll not be too surprised to see that completed. Imp with his kill. Picked up that recurve bow. So going to be able to hop, skip, and jump away from those Mace of Spades from Wild Turtle.
Yeah, there's so many cool picks here that I'm going to spend a little bit longer talking about the intricacies. So one of the reasons support Brand is so good, especially this season, is because of Spell Thief's Edge. The way Spell Thief's Edge works is when you have a spell or basic attack against champion, it will deal 10 additional damage and grant 5 gold. And it can occur 3 times every 30 seconds. The thing with Brand's passive, though, is landing a single spell will use all 3 charges of that. So you're getting the additional damage as well as the additional gold every time you use it. It's the easiest champion to activate Spell Thief's Edge on, probably aside from Morgana, who can just put the puddle underneath. But it really adds a lot of extra damage and gold to that Brand.
It certainly helps that Brand's E is point and click as well. We did catch a brief glimpse of Dyrus being shoved in on that top lane. He's going toe-to-toe with Lulu. Lulu's been really successful at shutting down Darius's throughout the course of this group stage. But Dyrus has got pretty close farm. Actually going a little aggressively. Not going to throw out the apprehend though. And I want to see what Dyrus can do now that he's not been really put far behind early.
Yeah, very rarely we've seen Darius in a normal standard 1v1 lane situation. Lots of lane slots punished him, but Acorn should be just fine here as well. I like the comparison here, honestly. We talked about Acorn not looking that comfortable in recent games. He's very comfortable on a low Econ top laner like Lulu, where he can always make plays.
Yeah, and I'm really tracking the experience in this bottom lane, but also how it interacts with teleport timers. Specifically the Mordekaiser, who wants to be able to pressure the dive once he hits level 6 because he has a level advantage, may not be able to since Dyrus in the top lane doesn't have teleport and Acorn does. If that equalizes, then the level 6 jump that the Mordekaiser gets because he gets full experience in share situations is actually kind of negated. Obviously, TSM had a nice play to use the teleport early, but because Acorn chose not to match, it means the bottom lane is actually much safer for LGD.
Yeah, Last Boy just avoided that Sia from PYL. BQ is moving in. A lot of damage to follow up, but they've been nonetheless. Bjergsen's already completed his Ionian Boots of Lucidity with Home Guard as well, and the teleport will be available very, very soon. So we could see one of those plays in the not too distant future, Jack.
I was going to say, I think we're going to see Just like we got an earlier glimpse of what can happen when everyone teleports down to a lane and fight.
Yeah.
That's how we started the first little skirmish to get these first 3 kills. And given that teleports are coming back and home guards are getting finished early, blue buffs even transferring to mid laners now as well, we could see a lot of early 4v4 or 5v5s.
Yeah, I think the 4v4 and 5v5s are definitely what's going to happen. However, one of the core strengths of Mordekaiser and why he's been banned wasn't actually executed on TSM. The small window they had where Wild Turtle's level 6 and Imp was not, was actually used up by Santorin handing blue buff off to Bjergsen. They had half of their team on the other side of the map and lost the window.
So we're approaching 10 minutes into the game, and despite the fact TSM are 2 losses, in both of their previous games, their early to mid game was not terrible. It fell apart after that stage. So TSM actually averages a gold lead at 10 minutes, whereas LGD averages that deficit.
So far at Worlds.
So far at Worlds,
Yeah.
correct. In the last 2 games. It's a small sample size, still counts.
Yeah, well, it's one of the reasons that these teams are 0-2. They've obviously had their failings. LGD has been a little bit all over, pick and ban, some misplays in the game, and a lot of it just really on the shoulders of TBQ and Godby not bringing up their end of the bargain. Imp and PYL have been playing generally well for LGD.
And I think LGD have done a smart thing here. Yes, Nunu's a pick we haven't seen in a long time, but it was another pick TBQ was relatively well known for in China. Oh my god, Godby, never mind. Diving onto Bjergsen. This is where the matchup can get tricky. Both mid laners have blue buff, but TSM just going to start Dragon instead.
They are, and somewhere, somehow, Deficio is talking about the Dragon. The ghost of Mordekaiser's Dragon, but there will be a challenge.
It's going to be a lot of damage, but they have the Dragon!
Oh, they've
PYL's
got him already! He's
Godby
down!
now could be in trouble. Good old back there. Gonna move Diana into the team. Moonfall's not enough. Turtle gets another kill.
Not only did they control the Dragon, but they get 2 kills afterwards. The siege potential of this Dragon, even against a full team, is strong. Now they have a full Dragon at level 9 and a 4-man push mid.
They're going to put so much damage on this tower. Actually will secure it. There is no wave clear around. The question is, what do TSM do with the rest of that Dragon timer? It's only 1,800 hit points now. We saw how quickly it can get focused down when it's tanking the turrets.
Yeah, I think the first Mordekaiser Dragon we saw was a little unspectacular, unfortunately, but that's a nice little move as Imp has been changing things up here. Runen's Hurricane first is a curious pickup.
That's normally something you build when you're really far ahead in lane. You'll go Hurricane first and not go for an early lifesteal option. But he is behind. It's definitely curious here. LGD is behind on a lot of different aspects right now. Honestly, PYL and the rest of LGD just lost control of the Dragon Pit. A little bit inexcusable because they were all grouped up for a big fight, but just no one activated on that team fight. You would expect LGD, a team that loves to team fight, would be able to collapse down there.
And Dragon's so important for both these teams. We look at Mordekaiser's Dragon, pretty much got TSM a turret there after they got a few kills, and LGD have Nunu and Kalista on their team, so they have incredible neutral objective control on both sides, so getting the Dragon first and getting it is very important early on.
And you see how TSM continues to use it with all of the gold sitting in Wild Turtle's back pocket. He has a 10-minute Rylai's Crystal Scepter. I think that is incredibly powerful against the limited attack damage that Imp is going to offer. Santorin does have that explosive cask set up, and I think he snuck into the lane unseen. So Imp and PYL, they step out of position. They might get bounced backwards, although, there we go. TSM is going to walk over and clear the pink board.
Yeah, and another thing about these games where we have double teleport is once one team does get a foothold, it does kind of become a little easier to maintain, because any fight that happens, everyone can join, and the team that is ahead will generally do it, but LGD has the jump on it.
Oh, the Santorin, another good ulti, but Godby's trying to go around the side. He's actually caught now as Gragas, but Akon forced to use his ulti out. Godby looking around the back, and Akon, he's so low, but they're not going to get the kill. TBQ, nice ult. Santorin sneaks in there for a kill with his flash, and now Bjergsen's going to land the stun. Wild Turtle looking to chase.
Yeah, they've chased 1 for 1 thus far. Jungler down from Team SoloMid, but LGD backed away. You did see the ghost of Acorn getting more vision, but aggressive start. I think Acorn started to TP first.
Yeah, and massive burst from Wild Turtle onto Acorn when he got chunked down right there, basically killing him through an ultimate. Now he has the Ghost of Lulu, which isn't as terrifying as it would be, but it still packs a little bit of a punch. Honestly, TP's burned, even trade, not that bad for LGD.
Not at all. Team SoloMid still continue to hold their 2,000 gold lead. They're doing a great job across the lanes, with the exception of Imp being up in CS. Even or advantage for Team SoloMid.
Looking very similar for LGD as well. Again, we've talked about Imp. He's looking strong. He's had a decent lane, although Mordekaiser looking to get a bit out of control perhaps. And Once again, LGD, who honestly were known for a very strong early game play, PYL roams, good strong laners, solid players across the board, backed up with good macro play. On paper, this team was excellent, but the start so far in Worlds, and even the start in this game, has just not shown that.
And even before Worlds, Pastry, LGD was talking about all the pressure they're feeling because they were expected to roll over this very competitive group. And when your expectations are so much higher than your initial results, that adds even more pressure, an extra layer. And you have to wonder how LGD is responding to that. It doesn't look like they're responding to it very well.
No, definitely not. Yesterday's loss to KT Rolster threw LGD into just turmoil. They looked so destroyed on stage. It is only the third game of group stage. A win here and some surprise games next week could still help either of these teams. We're a long way away from that. LGD, we touched on how they're usually down at 10 minutes. That gold lead accelerates. Their average in the last 2 games at 20 minutes is 3,400 gold down. So it falls apart, and it falls apart very quickly for LGD in the small few games we've seen.
On the other end of the spectrum, TSM hasn't been able to take advantage of their small gold lead. So something will give in this match, and one of these teams will obviously pick up their first win of Worlds. TSM absolutely has the team composition to try and snowball a lead. Twisted Fate with teleport. Every time the Dragon is up, they go there to force team fights, and they go take the Dragon to go and fight. The risk for TSM is if they get to late game without a big lead, and then the Nunu Lulu brand starts kiting heavily the double juggernaut setup of TSM.
I just want to see how they're going to handle all of the melee. On the side of Team SoloMid, you have to completely change how you take towers and how you pressure the map when you don't have a ranged AD carry to push towers down. Luckily, it looks like Sheen picked up for Bjergsen, so he may be able to apply some split push pressure. Yeah. But other than that, it's going to be a difficult task outside of winning convincing team fights. Well, 2,000 gold need to help them.
Yeah, certainly will. Right now, it seems like TSM happy to sit in their lanes. Turtle and Lost Boy don't really need to go anywhere. Double Relic's going to help turn through. Dyrus is happy. He's just scaling up now as well. I think 5v5, especially as they scale, LGD's comp has a lot of good tools against these melees. You look at Nunu, you look at Brand, even just all the Kai potential with Lulu in there as well. There are so many different things. Even stuff like Brand's passive being good against big health targets is actually quite good in this situation.
I also want to see how Dyrus handles himself. He's finally been allowed to play some League of Legends. Got himself a good, healthy CS. Black Cleaver completed already. Just going to synergize with that bleed. A lot of damage over time. But look, both junglers in the area. TBQ stood right atop a ward, so Centaurum will have information advantage. And Death Sentence going to go just a little short. This Dragon is live. So Team SoloMid showing a focus on Dragon, but double sweeping lanes in the same bush.
Both teams have rotated down. The synergy between Lustboy and Santorin still not as clean as they'd like it to be. They'd love to have that sweeper now. And LGD is looking to brawl in this Dragon Pit. This could be a big game-changing fight.
Certainly going to have to see what they can get done here. Lost Boy, though, now looking aggressive. Posturing with those boots of mobility. Hook does not land.
Godby is looking for a flank from behind. He's slow to the party, but because that hook did not land, it gives him time to catch up, and TSM has to be very careful they don't extend too far and open up their flank.
There is some vision deeper down the river for Team SoloMid, but LGD, they've started the Dragon. TSM want to challenge. Pierce connects from Imp, and TBQ's left in the pit. The Pyroclasm is available, not going to get used. Zero to Wild Turtle.
Good stun there, the ulti channel by TBQ as well. LGD just trying to fight Godby around the flank. Dragon will fall there as Godby's kiting away. Dyrus going to look for the dunk, but Godby moves back in over to Wild Turtle. Moonfall to buy some time. LGD needs to get back, but Bjergsen, he'll get the kill onto Godby, and now Godby's ghost will chase down his team.
Yeah, we do see the Destiny and the Gate from Bjergsen. Going to look for Imp and TBQ. They're on the wrong side of the map, but the gold card has timed out. There's another one lined up. Going to connect onto Imp. Imp's in trouble. Flashes over the wall, uses the cleanse. TBQ will get focused down by one more gold card, and the wild card finds Imp as well. It is a rout, and TSM are wiping the floor with LGD.
LGD went all in on the team fight from behind. They actually start the Dragon, and while they could secure that, they lose the fight terribly.
Yeah, Akon's just going to get domed now. Bjergsen here, looking for the lock-on, gets the stun. Hook will land. Akon gets alley-ooped, and Dyrus gets the dunk.
A 5,000 gold lead for TSM 17 minutes into the game. This team looks so out of sorts in their first 2 matches, completely lacking team cohesion. But in this specific instance, if both teams set up for a team fight brawl, they're showing they can brawl.
And look, we've talked a lot about LGD's kind of failures early on in the group stage in Paris, but TSM finally back to their old place, it feels like.
Yeah, and PYL actually landed a really good ultimate at the start of this fight. It bounced in multiple different directions to Turtle, I guess it actually did die on Turtle, but he landed the stun. Then TBQ had a really terrible Nunu ultimate that didn't have any zone control, and LGD reaches for this fight because Godfrey was caught on one side, and Lustboy actually takes all of the aggro and doesn't die by the end of it. So that difference of a support getting focused versus the mid lane getting focused really changes the dynamic of this chase down, since now the damage threats are gone for LGD, and at this point they're just on the wrong side of the Dragon.
Yeah, just a lot of cleanup here as eventually they'll have a chase down here. But Chinese teams are known for strong fights around terrain. That's where their strong team fighting comes from. Two excellent flashes from Bjergsen and Lostboy effectively won them the back half of that fight.
Absolutely.
Exceptional play from Team SoloMid. They're going to take their third tower of the game, accelerate that gold lead. They've got fan support on their side, but it looks like it's going to be a tower trade. LGD on the outer turret in the bottom lane. The TSM, they're knocking on the inner turret top.
Yeah, well, we were also talking about how the teams would push the turrets, especially since TSM doesn't have a ranged AD. So as far as actually getting turrets down, trading turrets is one of the best ways for TSM to get them down, as long as they can accelerate the game and get to the next Dragon area. That's actually not that bad. They get the inner turret, LGD does not.
And just trades everywhere here, but TSM are the ones with the gold lead. And it's funny, I feel like when I was watching the NALCS and watching TSM play, their mid to late game seemed very good, and their early game maybe a little shaky despite the strength of their laners. This game, after what we've seen already from them in Paris, has been a huge change for them. This is a massive lead.
Yeah, what a disappointment from LGD. You look at those goal differences between the players, overall team goal. I mean, Walton and Lustboy, they're just setting up to bonk someone on the head with that giant mace of spades.
Specifically from Godby, like, what is happening with this guy? It's not like he was some bad mid laner in the LPL that was just for some reason overhyped. This guy was legitimately dominating people for the entirety of the year and earned the hype coming into this event, but he has just been completely underperforming.
Here we are, will get pulled out there. Imp's gonna throw himself out as Imp's trying to secure his own red. I don't even think he can do that at this point. TSM gonna take over the top left of the map.
Yeah, they will, but look at the bottom half of the map. Godv has found Dyrus.
Wow.
And that's just Dyrus out of position, really.
Yeah.
No vision and no support from his team.
LG doesn't even have to burn a single teleport for that. Slick play there by Godby. He's going to split push mode now that he has Nashor's Tooth on Diana, and will look to use his teleport to at least have some type of impact. That would be the beginning of him coming back into the game, because really, if they want to win, Godby's got to pick up several more kills.
It's going to take such a long time, though. You've got a scaling Rod of Ages on Lulu top from Acorn. You've got not even a completed Blade of the Rune King yet for Imp. So I think there still needs to be a lot more arsenal packed into the LGD punch if they want to look to win these team fights. Wild Turtle's almost got an hourglass completed already. I mean, it's a terrifying position to be in. As we've crashed to 20 minutes. So here's a replay, and that's just Dyrus.
Yeah, out of position.
He has wards behind him, but he has no wards in front of him. And this has actually been one of the Achilles heels of why TSM hasn't capitalized on some of their early game gold leads, is because their deep warding is just inadequate for what they're trying to accomplish on the map. That honestly falls heavily to Santorin and Lustboy, but it also falls to Dyrus for respecting the vision you have achieved, and he reached farther than they had achieved vision.
Yeah, especially the entire team of Team SoloMid is pushing in the top half of the map. They're trying to set up for a death push, trying to set up with the vision control they had, and it didn't work out. PYL's support brand, needlessly large rod, has been picked up.
He's trying to get something back.
Well, let's
Homeguard
see.
TF.
Oh God, Bjergsen just rushing straight for it, but Akon's already away.
Fizzled, that one, we could say, but he's still got Destiny available. And again, using the vision on the top half of the map to try and make a play. Maybe suboptimal, but it's keeping pressure, it's keeping LGD down. I think that's crucial. LGD are not going to be able to push past their river safely for a very, very long time. I want to see TSM get better deep wards and then try to push down that last inner turret in the middle and bottom lane.
Yeah, TSM certainly have the arsenal to start fighting now. Lich Bane completed, Abyssal Scepter done, Rylo's almost as on his Black Cleaver now as well. Dyrus even going tankier to try and reinforce some of the fight potential his team has. On the other side for LGD, Acorn scaling with his rower, Nashor's is up, but Godby's still looking for a second. It's really just Imp that's got the two items. He's the big strength of this team now.
And I do have to mention that even though there's this large gold discrepancy, if it's not able to be capitalized on by TSM, LGD holds a late game team fight advantage. A nice hook to start this fight though.
TBQ's gonna flash the flay and get away. The body slam does connect. There's the ghost. It's gonna be a Children of the Grave onto Nunu. Absolute Zero does zero. Imp once again cleanses the death sentence, and LGD are backing away from the mid lane. Lustboy is playing a great Thresh this game.
He has landed hook after hook, and Lustboy was one of the main underperformers for TSM through the first 2 games, constantly being caught out of position. But this time he is landing the hook, and the team is following up on his action. They're going to try and push with this new Ghost while leaving up the Dragon. They will actually want to take that later. Another
hook! Flash there, just gets pulled out by him. But TBQ is going to keep taking it up, betraying his own team as TSM now 5 towers to 1.
Extending that gold lead. Dragon is available, but have TSM taken too much damage? We'll find out shortly. Teleport is available for Dyrus and both of them for LGD.
Yeah, they burned the Gragas ultimate and the Mordekaiser ultimate as well as taking that poke from Imp. They actually, because they decided to push with the Nunu, may forfeit this Dragon. We'll see if that's a call they regret. Looks like LGD gets this one pretty uncontested.
Bjergsen does have his ultimate, so if TSM want to try and fight, they can.
Could teleport in, actually. Bjergsen has been healed up. Dyrus is going. They're going to try and fight this one at their 7,000 gold advantage.
There's the ulti out. Lustboy looking for a hook. Finds Aiko, but the Dragon's already dead. Fight's going to break out. Santorin jumps in. Might be a little too soon, though, as Imp now going to ravage through the back. The first kill has happened. Bjergsen round the flank trying to get it. Dyrus, a double there as it's absolute chaos. The dunk goes down. TBQ dies. Eutrick from Lustboy. A triple out for Dyrus. And TSM clean up LGD.
23 minutes and Ace a minion wave in the mid lane. What do they choose to do with this? Because they have every option open. TSM is turning this game into a rout.
There is a massive minion wave in the bottom lane. It looks like Dyrus and Wild Turtle are going to push that up. The rest of TSM are pushing through the middle lane. They're knocking on multiple turrets at the same time.
It's 2 dragon fights now that LGD have tried to take. They've gotten 2 dragons, well done there, but they have lost the fight horribly every time. This time they will pay with their mid inhibitor turret as well. The inhibitor itself will stay, but for how much longer?
10,000 gold down. Let's see what Acorn and Godv can do. They're looking for TSM, who are split up. Dyrus is going to make it down to the bottom lane. Wild Turtle gets more by the Glitterlons. So does Bjergsen. Here comes Godv. He's jumping in. The Lantern pulls Wild Turtle to safety, and Team SoloMid get out.
This is not just about the play, it's the continuation of the play. This is LGD's final desperation move. They burned both teleports to try and get a kill. They didn't get a kill, so they are doubling down and going for Baron. This is so risky.
All in now, LGD. Can you get it? If not, you're going to be so far behind. Bjergsen poking around. Santorin does have his smite ready. The Baron's fairly low. Imp's got so many spears in the back of the head. Santorin's been stunned. They will get it, but will they get punished for it? Santorin dives in onto TBQ. Godby gets knocked back. Tries to make it go back in. The Wild Growth pops in. LGD fighting to the death. First kill happens. Dyrus trying to duck in the middle. Imp with a double. Godby cleans up the third.
What a bold call by LGD. You have to have so much guts to go for that. Down 10,000 gold, and they force a Baron after a recall play. But TSM tried to stop it, and in doing so, make LGD's play even better. Obviously, TSM still has a big lead in this one, but LGD does stay in the game with that amazing call.
So crucial to get all that gold and now items for further fights. There's a replay of Baron being secured, and then TSM re-engaging with no ultimates, no mana.
Yeah, Dyrus missed the outer ring of his Q, which is so critical for Darius, because if he gets one reset there, he triggers his Noxian Might and could go on a rampage. I'm not sure if his ult was still on cooldown. It actually was. No, it's because he didn't get it in the fight. So he had his ultimate up for that fight. If he could have landed the first outer ring in that Q, maybe that's an entirely different fight. So rare do you see a team up 10,000 gold actually still be in danger of losing the game, because it's now 4.
And I have to credit, honestly, some strong individual skill, like we mentioned for LGD. Acorn had some wicked sick geometry after that teleport to secure the slows and get to the Baron buff safely. And Imp, just watch how he's playing in these fights. He's an excellent Kalista player, but you can tell Imp wants this so badly.
It was 10,000, now 5,000, and the Baron stats and the Baron minions. LGD have now got the tools they need to claw back this lead. Look at the items that were picked up as well. Rylai's for PYL, Last Whisper for Imp, Hourglass, Aegis, like all of these spikes are now being hit by LGD.
I think the Rylai's is the most important one, because if this gives them the ability to kite the double juggernauts of TSM, it could be game-changing. Obviously, we'll see what they can do with this Baron buff. I think they're already close to having one of the biggest Baron power plays we've seen here at Worlds. They could make this gargantuan.
Certainly could. And TSM trying to fight off these big Baron minions, but LGD have had new lease on life after I think we used the word bold. That's very fitting with that Baron play. Still got plenty of ground to make up, though.
And what is going on with this World Championship? All the results we heard from scrims coming into this was this team's looking weak, and then you'd get a conflicting report. Oh no, they're actually really strong. I think that's because everyone was beating everyone else, and the same is holding true within this World Championship. LGD pushing up mid, another hook.
TBQ gets caught, gets apprehended, but the body slam doesn't connect. Absolute Zero will zone Team SoloMid away, and LGD will be happy getting themselves another tower and a few crucial ultimates off of TSM's cooldown.
Yeah, trying to close that gap here. LGD get an important tower, honestly. 3 towers is a much improved over what they had before, and they finally got a bit more space around the map. Dragon will be back in a minute 30 as well. And from what we've seen already, Dragon's been a big fight point. LGD are actually the ones with 2 Dragons, but TSM have won the last 2 Dragon fights.
Yeah, every time LGD's actually gone to the Dragon Pit, it's been a disaster for them. They've been able to secure the Dragons, however, and they actually might want to just do it again, despite the poor results they've had before, because they could have reached they may have reached the breaking point within their team composition. TSM's damage is starting to fall off the cliff, and Acorn now has a lot of tools, especially if they can catch Wild Turtle.
Let's find out. He's looking for the lantern, but he will not find it. And PYL and Imp, they get one of the most important keys from Team SoloMid. They're onto a tower as well.
If LGD can come back from 10,000 gold down, I don't know how TSM recovers for the rest of the group. They're up 10,000 gold, sub 25 minutes, and they are now in danger of losing the game.
Gap has closed a lot, only 4K up now for TSM, and that was like a full screen initiation from Callista Brown. We didn't even touch on what they can do. Normally we see a support with Callista, and there's a lot of synergy going on. Brand's a new one, but that was very stylish from the LGD bottom lane.
Plus 5,000 Baron power play. That is an exceptional amount of gold. And we just hit 30 minutes. What this game was looking to be a whitewash, a stomp from TSM in favor of LGD, has now turned into a, honestly, probably preferential LGD game.
Potentially, Mordekaiser's damage is going way downhill here. He's at AP damage, he doesn't have any magic penetration, he's itemized defensively. So TSM's ability to actually kill both Godby and Imp in these fights with shielding coming in from Lulu is not very high. So let's see LGD force this next fight with all 5 members.
Godby's going to join in. Santorin, oh, way around the back here. Going to get knocked himself away as Santorin has to get out. Acorn does ult himself as TBQ's looking for the zone and gets the first kill. That should be enough. They'll keep chasing through. Acorn's going to run in for support. Wild Turtle pops his zonies, but the damage is just massive. Imp tearing through the team.
They really are LGD. They are losing 1 or 2, though. They found Wild Turtle as well as Santorin. Dyrus will survive. The bleed will give Dyrus a double kill, and I think that was a gold card to find another 3 members of LGD
Bjergsen's
down.
not done. He's going to look for the ult. He does not commit. I think he's gone mid instead here. Does use something. Oh, now he is. Going to go in, get TBQ. Cuts off Acorn around the back. Dyrus is in the enemy
Dyrus just hit the inhibitor.
And then it's going to chase. There we go. Dyrus straight on the mid.
Inhibitor in the mid lane is going to go down, and look at the minion wave up top. Bjergsen has teleported to find Acorn. LGD are aced, and TSM are destroying their base.
What a crazy game this is. Every single time LGD goes to the Dragon Pit to fight, it has ended in disaster. That fight was so damn close. Everyone on LGD walked away with slivers of health, but because Bjergsen could save his ult and teleport, he cleaned up all the kills.
And so much credit to Bjergsen. We've talked about his Twisted Fate, been banned before this here in Paris. And the combination of strong mechanical play and insanely good map awareness to use 2 different global cooldowns to move around the map was superb.
And now this is exactly what TSM needs to do to continue closing out this game. They have super minions in the mid lane. They waited for Wild Turtle so he can mark their dragon. Now they have a 4,500 health dragon. They need to use that to go and take objectives. Because of the level on him, the dragon actually lasts an extended amount of time, so they can either go for a second inhibitor or save that dragon to take a Baron and then go for a push. They have their options open once again, thanks to that incredibly close dragon fight.
Super minions starting to pour through that middle lane. That will give a lot of options to Team SoloMid. Destiny's available for Bjergsen once more, and that banner of command that Last Boy's been using gonna add to the sieging power. We asked how you take towers. With Mord, you take
dragon.
a giant dragon to do it for you. That's gonna fall in the next few autos.
So clever as well from Last Boy. No cannon minion. So the next best choice, weirdly enough, is actually a caster creep.
Gold cards.
Trouble though for TVQ, gets himself hooked up, gonna move back into the team. The wild growth burn defensively. LGD will kite themselves away, but the Dragon is just fighting them. Bjergsen will zone Acorn, and LGD will collapse.
6v5, not fair, bro. Acorn's gonna get taken out by Bjergsen as Imp throws a pierce on the back line. There's the super minions from mid as another inhibitor's going to fall. Team SoloMid got Dragon, Dragon's Ghost, and an inhib all in one smooth play.
Yeah, it's a Dragon power play right there from TSM.
New stat.
New stat in Mordekaiser games. What is the Dragon power play? Huge for TSM. They had the 10,000 goal lead 10 minutes ago. It disappeared, and now it sits at 6. But most importantly, they have managed to get the sieges. LGD, though, we know they have a never-say-die attitude in these games. Their desperation moves are what kept them in this game. Expect them to continue to look for fights.
Well, we did see LGD moving towards the Baron pit, but there's simply not enough safe vision. So they're going hesitantly, using those sentinels of Kalista to try provide more information. Team SoloMid grouped a little more effectively. They'll need deep wards if they want to go for the Baron and then the safe close of the game. But more warding needs to be done. And TSM actually just going to start setting that up.
And Baron is going to be very difficult for LGD to get anywhere close to. Acorn's busy in the bottom lane cleaning side waves. PL's trying to get some vision, and you can see TBQ has the lens sweeping away looking for vision, but TSM going to move up, push the waves out, and just start a very difficult choice. You either fight us, you lose your top lane, or you lose the Baron, and they're all bad choices for LGD.
Yeah, it's also been remarkable how well Bjergsen has played this game.
So well.
Santorin has also had really good splitting ultimates to bring targets towards the Juggernauts, because that was such a struggle for TSM. Dyrus did an absurdly low amount of damage in his last Darius game to champions. It was like 1,700 or something as low as that. This game has been much different because the setup has come from Thresh, Twisted Fate, and Gragas.
And it helps when you've got TBQ sitting on the front line, eating death sentence after death sentence. It's the second game, this group stage, where TBQ's been cured tiles.
They're going
this time
for it.
the death sentence not going to hit.
Yeah, there's an ulti, but it knocks Acorn away. Bjergsen, massive damage! Legendary! Twisted Fate's going to clean out one. Now TBQ could be in trouble as the stuns are coming out in. He's so angry, but he gets exhausted. He's trying to leap in. They want the fight. Huge AoE combo in. Got arrows in everybody now.
Now let's see Dyrus. He's in trouble. He gets taken down. Godby and him still alive. 2v3. They might clean this up. Wild Turtle gets him! Wild Turtle and Bjergsen! They may have just won the game! Pushing through the mid lane with the supers!
That could be enough here. There's only 2 left. Bjergsen does unbelievable amounts of damage. And to think coming into this World Championships, Imp, the defending world champion, could start his first week 0-3. LGD have so little time left now.
That is more games lost in groups this year than Imp lost at the entire World Championship last year. TSM take down LGD.
That's going to be it. LGD, another upset. And North America, one of their flagship team, picks up the most unexpected victory.
Unbelievable performance. Team SoloMid again show their early game is okay. They made that fantastic this game until the poor Baron call. And the game just swung. Chance deserved for that victory.
Absolutely, and you can see the strength of LGD fighting very hard in this game with an amazing turnaround to almost pull the game back. But TSM keep everything cool. That man there, Bjergsen, made some unbelievable plays, and TSM pick up their first win against the most unlikely opponent.
Yeah, strengths and weaknesses being shown in this game too. Like, those team fights were so incredibly close, but LGD's willingness to take every single fight because they are so confident in their ability to out-mechanic and win those fights led to some disastrous occasions.
Yeah.
They died 27 times there to a team that has obviously Twisted Fate and Gragas, but with 2 Juggernauts, kind of needs you to walk into them to fight, and then they're in their wheelhouse. That last fight in particular, I can't wait to see it again, because I think the Kalista actually got hit by Q3 from Mordekaiser, and that's where the giant burst of damage came in. Because during the Zonias, he was trying to stay close, and he just lost count. 1, 2, 3 with all the other things going on. And that Q3 at that rank for Mordekaiser does something like 1,100 damage.
It's ridiculous. And while Turtle shows up, I think Bjergsen really carried hard, involved in 24 of his team's 27 kills.
He just carried ridiculously hard.
Exceptional performance. Just as a note, the bloodiest game that we've had at Worlds was 41 kills between Fnatic and HQ. That was equaled by this TSM LGD game.
the last 2 games we've had.
It's
World is heating up.
It's mind-boggling, but you have to now question the Dragon fights from LGD. They lost so much after each and every fight. Why? Yes, you can be confident in your abilities, but you need to have some restraint.
I mean, Mordekaiser, man. Like, you want it, you have to contest for Mordekaiser's Dragon. We talk about it that, hey, when teams get it, it's just a very simple play pattern to get yourself ahead. LGD had a plan. Nunu Kalista go fight a Dragon, and they got the Dragon, but that's about it.
Yeah, it got the Dragon and then all of their lives. That was the cost.
You know, you talk about the Nunu in the jungle. I also think you could talk a little bit about Imp's itemization. First item, Hurricane, with a Blood Boil Nunu on your team. Had there been more damage, had it been a Blade of the Ruined King, you know, how much more damage could those fights, could he have put out during a fight? I mean, it's all ifs and whens, of course, but I'm just not sure. I mean, let's talk about Brand really quickly.
Yep.
Final review, what do you think? Because you were so excited, Jets.
If you play it better, I think it has great uses, but PYL was almost over-relying on Imp to throw him out of the fight, and they constantly had to burn that cooldown to get him to safety, because I actually want to check the actual damage dealt to champions. I feel like Brand did a lot during that game, even with how poor he was performing. He actually did more damage than Mordekaiser, but that's a different... It wasn't enough to win, so that's it.
Well, Team SoloMid, they do get a win on the board. We're going to head to Shocks on stage to have a chat about that victory.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm joined here by Bjergsen from TSM after beating out LGD. Congratulations. What a game when it was absolutely crunch time for you guys, with some weird picks as well. Tell me first and most about the aggressiveness that you guys displayed, which is very un-TSM-like, if you allow me to say it. What spawned that?
Well, when you're 0-2 in a group, and after today, we go back to practicing. So if we lose another game, people are going to feel discouraged. So it was like, right now was just all in, you know? We had to win this game if we wanted to get the confidence back, to get better in practice, to come in next week and just feel like we have a chance to come out of this group. So I feel like everyone thought this win was really important. Then we got the Mordekaiser and TF combo, which just allows you to be aggressive. It allows you to push up, look for dives, look for constant plays, and just when we see a comp like that and it's like all in, then we're going to play aggressive, and that's what we needed to do.
And you guys amassed almost a 10K gold lead in the mid game, and then that Baron happened. I can only imagine what that might have done maybe in the comms. Can you explain?
We just oversaved for the mid tower, and we just got a little bit greedy. We could have slowed down the game a little bit, and we could have just playing a little bit safer, but we took the risk of pushing mid and it ended up giving them the Baron. But I think we all felt pretty comfortable because we had a pretty big lead even with them having Baron. So we were just like, all right, guys, just take it slow. We made a mistake. It happens, but we're still going to win the game.
And you guys did win the game. It's incredibly important. Before the game, you guys were two teams, in my opinion, on the brink of kind of breaking under the pressure of maybe the World Championship. 0-2, both of you. How did you try and use that to your advantage, knowing that they were also in that same situation?
Well, it does feel good because it gives us more confidence when we're both not doing as good. We're like, all right, guys, anything can happen in any of these games. And I feel like all the teams at Worlds are actually extremely close. We see teams taking off games from pretty much any team at this point. And I think that also gives us confidence that we can take a game off of anyone right now.
One game off of anyone? Any further predictions for you guys as advancement in this group?
Well, I'd like to get out of group. I think the group is looking really strong, and we're going to have to step up our play a lot for next week. But hopefully we can. That's all I can say. I want to get out of groups.
Well, Bjergsen wants to get out of groups, and he made a definite statement in this game to make that happen. Thank you so much. Congratulations. And guys, take it away.
Thank you, Shocks. Guys, as a quick shot mentioned going into that game, 19 games, 19 unique champions picked in the mid lane. Crumbs, you said maybe these teams would play it safe going into these games. And then we have a champion select like the one we did. I'm not sure they yielded your advice there.
I want to know how long the queue time was to get into this kind of match, because it was quite a particular game. And,
you know the analogy or the metaphor I made for my World's Pick'em?
Of it being
dumpster inferno of nothingness.
This game was.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. When you look at LGD coming into this tournament, most people would have put them in the top 3 teams. On paper, top 3 teams for the entire tournament. Had them #1 seed for the pick'em. They're now sitting solidly at the bottom of this group, 0-3. I mean, it's a baffling thing that I want to try and dissect here. Let's start with Pix and Ban, though, because we saw this brand support come out, we saw the Diana come out, and that was with them on red side, leaving Mordekaiser up. So there had to have been a pretty good idea that the Mordekaiser pick was going to come through on the side of TSM.
You know, this gives some hope to TSM into the way that they should be taking drafts. Pick 3 melee champions that are always going to be soaking up damage so that Bjergsen can be left untouched in the backline and can carry. The damage that he did was equal to Mordekaiser, Darius, and Thresh combined, which is insane, to be honest. Like, that's more than 3 of your other teammates.
Well, I mean, and that, to take the damage into consideration, too, obviously Bjergsen had a very good performance in that game and really did carry the team. But people are going to be wondering about what's this brand about, right? Well, as it happens, if you're going to start kiting the Darius and some of these melee picks, well, if you get that Rylai's on Brand, he actually does a lot of damage. Brand did more damage than either Mordekaiser or Darius in this game. Brand, support Brand.
I have to add, like, on a more serious note, it's like, I feel the trade-off, Mordekaiser into Lulu Kalista, is a really good trade-off in favor of LGD, because on paper, they have a team composition that is really good against these juggernauts, and still, like, that first dragon was just catastrophic.
Does the Diana pick, then, somewhat contradict the idea that you want to kite these juggernauts?
I think the Diana pick was fine because you're trying to play around the Twisted Fate with the teleport and you're trying to go into the bottom lane. Again, I think most of this game was a lack of coordination on LGD's part because the composition itself it's fine. It's fine. It's just that when you walk into Dragon one by one and just start feeding, that you have an issue.
You know, what we expected from LGD was the boldness and coordination from the play that they had when they made that comeback Baron. TP, okay, let's do something together and try to get something out of this game. That's what we thought we'd see throughout the entire tournament, through all their games. One play in 3 games is the only hope we've seen from LGD from the expectations that we had of them so far. And that's not enough to really get them out of groups.
And we know they can do it. Now, to TSM's credit, one of the best plays was the Dyrus' TP into that bottom lane, because one of the things we've been criticizing TSM about is do something, just anything before 20 minutes.
Being proactive.
But they were very proactive here, and that really helped out, getting that early kill. Dyrus was the faster one on the teleport. But also LGD, they're known as a team that's very coordinated around using 2 teleports, and I don't know what's happened to them, but apparently Godv and Acorn cannot push their teleport keys at the same time anymore.
Yamato, I think it is safe to turn a critical eye on both of these teams here. Even though this was a win for TSM, it wasn't clean. We saw a 10K up. A majority of teams in this competition with that kind of gold lead would be able to cleanly close out the game. And as you mentioned, Crumbs, there was that Baron blunder where they handed 5K gold back, and it became a much closer game again. So when we look at this game, and as we look going forward, TSM, what is it about their mid-game there where they seem to be making some interesting errors?
Well, there was that one mistake where they pushed up mid too far. But it's also like the way they draft, I thought it was very, very risky because, like, even though the draft was not really relevant in this game because it was this full clown fiesta in a way, the thing is they draft very risky. The Darius into the Kalista, and then they just overstay in the mid, turned into a Baron, and I was scared that they would have just lost the game there. But then Acorn got caught.
Well, I disagree. I don't think the draft was necessarily risky. I think the only really big criticism about it was the Darius, and that's just something that's been built up throughout the tournament as not a very effective pick. But I think it's a great win for them because they're not playing anymore this week. It's a boost of confidence, and it's really what they needed to see how the team can operate and if they can really be aggressive in this stage, and it shows that they can. So I think it's a big step forward for them if they want to get out of groups. The difficult part being is the team that loses the next match between KT and Origin is going to have to be the team that they need to beat.
All right, well, earlier we asked what has surprised you the most so far at Worlds, and Mad Piero tweeted, I was hoping to be overwhelmed by the Chinese team superiority, and I'm not even whelmed right now. What is this?
No one is whelmed. And let's take that. So the Chinese teams, people seem to be forgetting that EDG is doing just fine, right?
That is true.
Sure, they lost to SKT, but they made that mistake around the early Dragon Call. It's something that they can alter relatively quickly. I don't think we're going to see that same error again. And otherwise, EDG's look just fine. I still think they're a favorite to make finals.
All right, one final thing. As this is the end of week 1, these teams do have a few days to regroup. And as much as it may be an uphill battle for LGD and TSM being 1-2 and 0-3, what needs to happen in this next 3 days to regroup and come back looking stronger next week?
I feel like in LGD's case, I think they just need to find themselves again.
I think it's too late.
I think it's too late.
Yeah.
With the 0,
Which is a fair assessment.
with the 0-3, I agree it's too late. But if they want to take some kind of victories, then I feel they need to start playing to the strengths again. They need to play these matchups that are where they kind of pressure the matchups. It's for example, the Diana, I liked it. It came back. Good. The Acorn on Lulu, I want to see on something that can snowball the matchup. Gnar, something he's split push. That's what I want to see from LGD.
From TSM, I think we need to just see more decisive and late-game playmaking. Sure, their early game was looking strong right there. They capitalized on LGD's errors. But then we saw people getting caught out time and time again. And that's exactly what happened to them in their match versus KT. And interestingly, with how strong Bjergsen and Darius were, they could have feasibly set up some sort of 1-3-1 split push. And constant pressure on all 3 lanes is key to using Mordekaiser. But when they get picked off, they just can't do that. So there's a lot of flaws in TSM's late game play.
All right, well, they've got some time to regroup. Our next teams don't have too much, though. We need to step away as we gear up for our next fight in Group D between Korea's KT Rolster and Europe's own Origin. Don't touch that browser. We'll be right back.
Yo, Darius, make some calls so I can listen.
I'm TB.
I'm flashing. All right, I got it.
Did you hear him flashing, or?
Yeah, I heard the flash.
I'm dead.
There will be a challenge.
It's going to be a lot of damage, but they have the dragon.
Oh, they've got him already. He's down.
now could be in trouble. Good, back that. Gonna move Diana into the team.
I'm on Diana.
Diana. Kill him. Brand, Nunu.
I'm coming in. No.
I'm on Kalista. I'm on Kali. You can do bad. LGD fighting to the death. First goal happens. Darius trying to duck in the middle. In with a double. Godby cleans up the third. They'll keep chasing through. Aegon's going to run in for support. Wild Total pumps his zonies, but the damage is just massive. Imp tearing through the team.
Now let's see Darius. He's in trouble. He gets taken down. Godby and Imp still alive. 2v3. They might clean this up. Oh! Wild Total gets it.
TSM take down LGD.